Good morning and welcome once again to Monday Morning Messages. I trust that everyone had a great weekend, restful weekend. And if you did anything like I did, you watched some college football and hopefully your team won. War Eagle or Roll Tide, or at the end of the day, whatever other team you support. I know one thing, that if you're a Bulldog fan over at Sanford, you came very close, folks. That's neither here nor there. Moving fast forward. Certainly, we had a great week on last week. We met on Friday with all of the faculty and a all-important prep staff. Certainly, Ms. Woodruff covered some very important information in respect to Educate Alabama, also about the observations that are going to be coming down the pike, so to speak. If you have not completed your self-assessment in Educate Alabama, certainly now is the time to have that completed. We certainly want you to get through that and be very honest. Take a very honest look at yourself in respect to what your best practices are. And then more importantly, make sure that you hit the target in respect to where you really are. And then more importantly, as we look to sit down with you as an administrative team, we can determine where your areas of professional learning should occur to help you become a better teacher. Again, this is no gotcha. This is something that is going to be incredibly beneficial for you. I myself, when I took my self-assessment with Lead Alabama, I ripped myself apart. I tore myself apart on this thing because I really want to be critical about the day-to-day practices in this building that I'm doing. And so the reality is, in that classroom, that it's important that you look at your day-to-day practices and ensure with 100% efficacy that you're delivering the absolute best quality of instruction and assessment that you possibly can to meet our needs, or should I say meet the needs of our students. So that being said, make sure that you take care of that. If you're assigned to myself, Ms. Woodruff, or Mr. Graham, we will be looking and then meeting with you guys individually. Also, speaking of observations, you've been spoken to about the single point rubric. You've been spoken to about certainly Educate Alabama. And, of course, we have a sort of a walkthrough observation that just kind of looks at 2 or 3 different tenets, if you will, of our pillars of what should be encapsulated in a good lesson. And, of course, the snapshot is just going to kind of give us an overview of some look forwards like student engagement. That's a big takeaway. Are there clear and visible learning targets? What sort of formative assessments are being done in an effort to ensure that students are, in fact, learning the material? What the level of assignment, the quality of the assignment, the depth of knowledge. We want to certainly make sure that we're providing very rigorous content for our students, but scaffolding it in a way that they are able to, as you chunk it, to digest it. As the old adage says, how do you eat an elephant? One chunk at a time. Well, that's how our students learn, is making sure that we are putting it at a level where they have a better understanding and then growing those students. Also, as we've been getting in and out of classrooms, we've seen cell phones. Cell phones are not being used for instructional purposes in your class. That's the intent. If your student is going to use cell phones in your class, it needs to be, again, along the instructional practice or platform, not as a pacifier. Kids should never be charging cell phones in your classes. They never should be on cell phones checking messages or on social media. It's a no-no. Please make sure you take care of that. Moving forward, Aaron's Law and Lee versus Macon. If you have not already, make sure that you've got those two all important pieces of documents, if you will, done. View what you need to view, read what you need to read, and then make sure that you signed off that you, in fact, have taken care of. Again, Aaron's Law and also Leeds, going back to Leeds, right? Lee versus Macon. More importantly, when we look at what's being done in terms of common lesson plans, certainly the majority of you have done an amazing job of jumping right in with both feet and really populating those areas and making sure that you have the right information. So when we come into your class, we know exactly what's going on. Unfortunately, we have about 7 or 8 teachers that have not followed protocol in respect to getting your information uploaded on the Google Drive. So therefore, when, for instance, Dr. Murphy will be out today, and she's going to pull, in essence, from that Google Drive. And when she walks into your classroom, it's going to be very, very embarrassing if you do not have the information that, of course, you're teaching to our students and trying to assess populated there in the Google Drive. We'll have no way of knowing what's going on unless you have accomplished that. So we're asking that you get that done as quickly as possible. Generally speaking, we ask that all lesson plans be ready to go by Friday evening. Certainly, so as you look through the weekend, you can be kind of tweaking and looking at maybe some changes that you want to make to the actual lesson plan that you have. And then, of course, Monday is time to rock and roll. So be conscientious of making sure that you're doing that as well. Also, moving forward, grades, report cards. We need to look at a progress report. I say report cards. It's actually a progress report that's going to go home this Wednesday. So you want to make sure that your students sign for their progress report on this Wednesday. And then, of course, once they sign, then you need to make sure that you make a copy of all 4 blocks, and then make sure that that information is given to me. You can put it in my door right outside, but I need to have documentation that your student has received a progress report on Wednesday of this week. Please make sure that you do that. We don't want to have to come tracking you down. And it's going to be, again, very embarrassing when all of your other cohorts or colleagues have given a progress report and you've given nothing. Make sure that your progress reports are given out and they are signed, and make sure that you have the proper amount of grades. We keep harping on this, but you make sure that you get your grades in and that your students have the grades that reflect what it is that you're teaching. So, again, we're going to emphasize that we get that done. Also, this Tuesday, we have a couple of things going on. We have school picks going on, and we also have an assembly. The assembly is going to be for our juniors and seniors, and then the second assembly will be for our 9th and 10th graders. Mr. Graham is sending information. I think he's already sent some information. He's going to be sending additional information to sort of lay it out there so you know exactly what, in fact, is going on there on Tuesday. It's going to be a very, very busy day, a very, very busy week, should I say. And again, as I tell you, this thing is going to begin to snowball fairly quickly. So it's going to be very important, very critical that you stay on top of what we need to stay on top of. And again, we're here as an administrative team to support you in every endeavor, but we're going to need you to really roll up the sleeves and let's start getting down to business, because I'm telling you right now, we're going to look up and it's going to be Thanksgiving. And here we've already completed the 9 weeks, and we're trying to get ready for the back 9, if you will, to end this semester. So it's incredibly important that you stay on top of and abreast of what's going on. And more importantly, that if you have any questions, that you do not hesitate to reach out. Certainly, we're handling discipline at an all-time rate. I don't know what's going on, but we have a lot of tardies. We have some truancy. And certainly we have some students that are not acting or behaving in a manner that's conducive to what the culture of this school certainly needs to look like or mirror. So that being said, you would make sure you go through your proper protocols. But if the students are adhering to what it is that you ask them to do, then do not hesitate to reach out to one of the administrators. Hit that all-important discipline referral after you talk to parents and you've covered your bases, and then we'll take it in from there, because we're not going to allow students to be disrespectful, defiant, and more importantly, it really is incumbent upon us to be role models for these students. And so if we see behaviors that do not line up with what we know to be good practice, then we have to address it. And I don't mind doing that. As a matter of fact, I enjoy making sure that we have the culture in this school that supports what it is that we claim that we're doing. That being said, we're working diligently on the ASIP. Once we have the ASIP completed by the end of next week, then we are going to turn that back around to all teachers during their planning or prep staff, so you'll know exactly where the targets are and exactly what it is that we hope to do in respect to moving the needle here at Pinson Valley. That being said, as always here at Pinson Valley, we're going to continue to promote achievement, respect, and success. Please have a blessed, not only day, but a productive week. Thank you so much.